earlier, like at about 5:15, 5:30, so that we could go into executive session for the purpose of, we interviewed 4 sets of people that were interested in being the park director. We interviewed them, and we just finished up with our decision on that park director position. So that's why we were in executive session. We closed out of executive session, and now we're back here to run the regular public meeting. So just so you all know what was going on and why we're running, oh, we're only 3 minutes late. So that's what's happened. Now, I had agendas sitting on that bookshelf way in the back corner. If you haven't grabbed one, they're right there. There should be an attendance sheet going around. Please print your name legibly. If you scribble it, whatever that scribble looks like, that's what's going into the minutes. So hopefully, so we know who is who, print your name. That would be greatly appreciated. Whereabouts is that right now? Anybody? Oh, okay, I see it right now. Very good. Okay. I presume you're still looking bills over, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's mine. What are you doing with it?
Not the same thing, good.
Okay, minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look the minutes over from the last board
I
meeting?
move we accept the minutes.
Rich?
I'll second.
Oh,
We
you're
did.
doing, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so I'm gonna say that you adjourned this time and now reconvene.
We reconvened 7:03.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so Rich made the motion. Larry seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, under old business, Water District 9. Lance was nice enough to give me the lady's name and number in the comptroller's office because nothing's moving yet. So I had a very pleasant discussion with her and told her I would be calling her back on a weekly basis. It's sitting on someone else's desk waiting for a final approval, to which I complained to her that if they had approved it a year ago, it would have been in the ground by the fall. Plus, the interest rate wouldn't have gone up by 1%, which everybody in District 9 are gonna have to absorb that cost. So she knew how happy I was about that. So we're still trying to get that out of the comptroller's office. With the highway department, we're still in the process of negotiating with that. New business. Park director. As I said, we had 4 sets of very good candidates. Everybody had their pluses, very few minuses to any one of those groups. But the one group that we decided to pick happens to be Greg Bennett and Jason Foote will become co-park directors for at least this coming year. We'll see how things work out in the future. Last time we didn't. We can. Last board meeting, we talked about the alarm system companies, and we had agreed that we wanted to go with Amherst Alarm. We never made a motion. So if I could, please, have a motion to select Amherst Alarm to upgrade our alarm systems in both here as well as the town barn.
I so move that we hire Amherst Alarm. They'd sent you more information since our last meeting, correct?
Yes.
I'll second
Larry second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay,
Go back to Bill.
have we completed those down there?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on the bills, gentlemen? May I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to pass the bills.
I'll second. And pay Lee's
Lynn second.
voucher.
Oh, and pay Lee's voucher.
And pay Lee's voucher.
Okay, but it was Larry and Lynn?
It was Larry and Lynn. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried then. In front of you, gentlemen, you have for Water District 10. Water District 10, we have what is called a lateral restriction resolution that Labella has asked for us to please pass at our board meeting. And it reads as, whereas the town board of the town of Barry has created the town of Barry Water District Number 10 pursuant to town law for the express purpose of providing public water supply to residents along portions of Angevine, McNamara, and Transit roads. And whereas part of the land area within Water District 10 is also within Orleans County Ag District Number 1, and whereas the town board has filed a notice of intent to undertake an action within an agricultural district to evaluate the impact of providing a source of public water supply within this area on lands within Ag District Number 1, and whereas the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets Department has expressed concern about the potential adverse impact that said public water supply is likely to have on agriculture within the agricultural district. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board, in recognition of the concerns that have been raised, hereby resolves to adopt the lateral restriction conditions on future service specified by the New York State Department of Ag and Markets as follows. The town of Barry imposes the following conditions on the management of water/sewer lines located along portions of Angevine Road, McNamara Road, and Transit Road included in Water District Number 10. Within an ag district, a map of which is attached to this resolution showing the boundaries of the agricultural district in relation to the parcels indicated. Number 1, the only land and/or structures which will be allowed to connect to the proposed water line or sewer within an agricultural district will be existing structures at the time of construction. Further agricultural structures and land and structures that have already been approved for development by the local governing body prior to the filing of the final notice of intent by the municipality. Land and structures that have been approved for development and refer to those property structures that have been brought before a local governing body where approval, example, subdivision, site plan, and special permit, is needed to move forward with project plans, and the governing body has approved the action. If no local approval is required for the subdivision of land and/or the construction of structures, the municipality accepts the limitation under Public Health Law 1115 that defines a subdivision in part as any tract of land which is divided into 5 or more parcels. Water and/or sewer service would not be provided to more than a total of 4 residences, buildings, and/or structures on any tract of land which has been divided into parcels after the date of filing of the NOI by the municipality. Where no local approval is required and the land is located within a county-adopted, state-certified ag district. If a significant hardship can be shown by an existing resident, the lateral restriction to the resident's property may be removed by the municipality upon approval by the department. If it can be demonstrated to the department's satisfaction that the landowner requested the county to remove his or her land from an agricultural district at the time of the district review, and the county legislative body refused to do so, lateral restrictions may be removed by the municipality if the department determines that the removal of the restriction for the subject parcels would not have been an unreasonably adverse effect on the ag district. And if land is removed from a county-adopted, state-certified ag district, and the district has been reviewed by the county legislative body and certified by the commissioner for modifications, lateral restrictions approved by the municipality are no longer in effect for the parcels of land that have been removed from the ag district. Okay. That being said, gentlemen, for us to proceed with Water District 10, any discussion on this lateral restriction resolution? I give you the original.
I printed it. There wasn't one here. I had it.
No, I put it right with your pile.
It wasn't here, so I went. This is my email copy.
Okay.
Do you need this?
That would be the original.
Is that the original? No. She doesn't need that. The original has the fold-out map on it showing the whole district.
My only comment would be that, since we haven't officially formed Water District 10, that it should either say that the town of Barry is seeking to create, or we say that the resolution is contingent upon Water District 10 being formed. Now that it just reads as if it's already been formed, and it has.
Okay, so how would you, that's the very first paragraph, correct?
Yeah.
First sentence.
Whereas the board of the town of Barry is seeking to create the town of Barry Water District number 10.
Barry is seeking to create Water District 10. Okay. You all set? Okay, gentlemen, anything else?
I move that we accept it with the changes made.
Second?
I'll second.
Lynn, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried with the changes recommended by Lance. Okay. Okay, my financials. Expenses overall, we've used 16.6% of our annual budget at this time. Highway funds, we have used, that's mine, you can have it. We have used, general fund, 15.88% of our budget so far, and the highway has utilized 14% of their annual budget at this time. Highway, Dale, you have a couple of things you would like to discuss.
One thing, did everybody get a copy of that little note about salt?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the mailbox. I'll just read it real quick. The state requires that the town set a tonnage amount the year before for purchasing salt, typically in April, the year before. Barry set 2,500 ton for the 2018-19 season. We are required to purchase 70%, which is about 1,750 ton, and may purchase up to 120%, which is 2,800 ton, at the set price of $51.51 per ton. That includes the fuel cost to have it delivered. We have purchased 2,191 ton of salt, along with fuel, grit, plow parts, by 3/22 this year. This will give us a balance of approximately $700 in the snow removal budget. I'd like to use the fund balance, or a portion of the fund balance, I should say, of $40,000 to purchase additional salt and grit at this year's price, to build up our stockpile, and which has been depleted this winter enormously. Normally, our stockpile fills the barn by the end of this year, or the end of our season, about 75% of the barn. We're down to less than 50%. So we've really used up a lot of our stockpile the last 2 years. Most years, we don't even see the back of the barn. This year, we were to the back of the barn. Little figure there, $40,000, $31,400 for salt, at about 590 ton. That puts us at our 2,800 ton limit before the price goes up, because once you hit that limit, the price will go up again. It's like a 3-tier pricing. And then the rest of that 8,600 will be for purchasing grit and the mixing charges. And we have Johnson's come in and run the plug nut for us. And there's some past prices there also. You can see it from 16 to 19, it went up like 2%. And in the fund balance, from what I see, there's $545,000.
So is that the highway fund balance or the general fund?
That's the highway, Rick. Which is what salt comes out of.
And that's what you recommend?
I'd like to, yes. I mean, we've already met our minimum, requirement, but in order to build up our stockpile, well, the price before April goes up. On grit last year, I think we paid $10.50, now this year we're paying $11.50.
Well, if you recommend it, I'll move it.
Any other discussion, gentlemen?
I'll second it.
Okay, Rich made the motion to accept it. Lynn to second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried then.
Any other questions on the monthly report?
Yes. The LED lighting, you said is all installed in the barn. You're gonna get like 3 more lights yet to
Yeah.
put in the green building?
We purchased 4 more for the green storage building.
Okay. Are those installed yet, or
Yes.
just? Okay.
They haven't come in yet.
But everything else is all set up and, okay, excellent,
Big difference.
excellent. Okay, thank you. Maureen?
There's 2 copies and you can pass them down. Monthly report.
Pass them down.
Yeah, so, yeah, we can keep a copy for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we got signed one.
You can tell Sheldon what the breakdown is.
Okay. Okay, I do, Barry's letter, I thought I had put it in my packet. You have a copy of it with you? Okay, for the assessor. Assessor's report from Barry Flansburgh. Says, I have completed the 2019 annual update of values for the town of Barry. Assessment change notices will be mailed out by the end of March. Residential changes were in the 5 to 10% range, and land was in the 15% range. Sales of homes since I finished have been over the new assessments. The state of New York will review these numbers and determine if we will be at 100% for 2019. Their first review showed the numbers still about 8% too low. I redid the values and have not heard yet if I raised them enough. I'm going with what I have now and see how it does. Remember, assessments are based on what has happened in the market of the town of Barry up to now. Homes and land are currently selling well above current assessments. This makes the assessments for all properties go up. Assessments are based on what has happened and not on what might happen. Below is the overall breakdown of the changes. In 2018, total home value was 142 million. Total hometown value is 142,665,000. 2019, it's 155,076,004 for an increase of 13,075,339. Total town taxable in 2018 was 100,550,000. 2019 was 106,839,000 for an increase of 6,288,000. These are all tentative, as changes can still come from the state of New York and review with property owners. Tentative assessment roll will be filed on May 1st, 2019. That's the report from the assessor. Okay. Larry, anything?
No.
Planning board.
We're working on the solar, and I think we finally have it wrapped up and ready for your review. And after you review it, it'll be sent to the county with the recommendations. Thank you. So I don't know how soon you want to send that to the county. We meet on a Thursday, last Thursday of the month. So through Lee and you, Shelley can send it down there. After you reviewed it,
Yeah. So what's the deadline for it to go to county?
Lee,
The week before,
A week before,
your meeting. On a Thursday, I couldn't tell you.
last Thursday of this month is their meeting. So it's gotta be in the third Thursday of the month, which is just next Thursday then,
yes.
1 week from now. Okay. Okay, thank you.
So we had a public hearing for the property, Whitler property, the pole barn. And there was an issue that came up about the drainage. And we decided to have soil and water and Dale Brooks take a look at that. Do you know about that yet? Did you look at it yet?
Just briefly from the road, I didn't have my muck boots to walk out back.
You need more than that.
Yeah.
Well, we're hoping to have that resolved. We're gonna schedule another public hearing for next month, maybe wrap that up
On the same thing.
on the same thing, yes. And then we discussed subdivision for a half hour. Came to no conclusion. We'll discuss it again. So, that's all.
Okay.
Kurt,
Thank you.
you got a question? Was there any letter sent with this and what your recommendation was? With that? I don't understand.
Well, you're sending this in and recommending whether we pass it, we don't, or what?
Oh, yeah, you got to pass. Look it over and see what you think.
Because the other thing, we got deadlines to get to, but if we look this over, we should come back to you.
Yes.
Or your
Yes,
board.
Come back to us, and then we'll just do it another month.
Right.
But I think you'll find it's perfect.
I think so. Sitting and listening to it.
Will this stand up to time, 10 years from now?
I don't know about that. The county's pretty good at looking that over too. They may have some changes in mind.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If I could add that it's on the website, and so the public is allowed to, look at it and make their comments also, and review it. So if they have any,
The old one's
thoughts
still
on it.
on there.
the old one's on it?
Yeah, I still haven't changed
Okay,
it.
okay.
By the end of the week, it'll be up.
Okay, thank you. Lee, anything from zoning board?
They have not met, and they don't have any referrals, so they will not be meeting this week.
Okay. Park committee, you already heard about that insofar as the selection of the new park directors, being Greg Bennett and Jason Foote. Utilities, anything, Rich?
Not a word.
And Mr. Lance Mark?
You already stole my thunder, so
I did?
you reported on the water districts.
Oh. Well, we do have a report from the zoning officer. We've had six permits. Yeah. We've had 6 building permits from the first of the year so far. But it's the winter months, so things are progressing. Usually the summer months is when Shelley gets real busy. Okay. I forgot to get my little, timer out here. Yeah, I do. Cooperate. Okay. I'm sure if everybody's got an agenda and you've been here before, I don't need to go down through what the expectations are of each of the speakers. Now, it seems to me in the back of my mind there was someone, before we move on to that, is there anybody here from the county legislator? Bill Ike usually comes by. No, I didn't see anybody. I just wanted to point out the county legislature has passed 3 resolutions that I just wanted to let everybody know what they have done, and it's been sent on to the governor and different politicians in Albany. The first one, the resolution 103-319, urging New York State to fund all costs associated with new state enacted voting reforms implemented at the county level. The state has said they want to have these extended early voting periods. We always have to pick up the tab for anybody that works at those polling booths. And we have it for 1 day usually, but now the governor is saying that he wants to have, is it 6 days, 10 days?
10 days.
10 days prior to any primary or general election, starting during the 2019 general election. That means that we, the town, are gonna have to pick up the tab and pay the Board of Elections for us being open those extra 20 days. So they have sent to Albany saying the state had better pick up that tab or get rid of it, basically. Resolution 106-219, opposing Assembly Bill A 1413, an act to amend the general municipal law in relation to prohibiting firearms as prizes in any game of chance. All the fire departments around here have gun raffles. That's how they raise money. Not a tremendous amount of money, but they do raise money for their coffers for events and things that they need money for, equipment, whatever. So once again, the county legislature has says, do away with it. And they sent that off to the governor and state legislators in Albany. And the last one, resolution number 102-219, opposing the proposed and amended 2020 executive state budget impacting aid and incentives to municipalities and state cost shifts to counties. In other words, it's the AIM funds. It's monies that the municipalities, villages, towns, whomever, we get this money from the state, and they're basically eliminating it. And it's monies that all the municipalities count on to help subsidize a number of things that we have going on in our community. So once again, they have told the state what not to do, or to eliminate that. They don't want to see it. So like I said, that's, if we had a county legislator here, I was going to ask them to address that. Okay, now, everybody knows what the attendance board. Everybody sign it? I mean, everybody print on it? Please do. Thank you. Okay. Speakers, now, once again, as I started to say before, it seems to me someone had asked to sign up to be on here, and I didn't put it down right away, and then I couldn't remember who it was. So if I overlook your name, please just let me know. First one, Miss Blank. Mr. Cox.
At this point in time, I'd like to let John be able to speak on my behalf.
Okay, when we get to him. Mr. Bruni.
Martin's out of town.
Okay. Ms. Grabowski. Mr. Kwiatkowski.
Not here.
Ms. Loss.
Chris Loss, Root Road. I just wanted to say, I heard on the radio this morning that New Mexico is going entirely to solar and wind. And Germany is going to dismantle 84 coal plants and go entirely to solar and wind. And I just want to say, the turbines and solar are coming. Just accept it.
Thank you. Mr. Metzler.
I'll go last, if you don't mind.
I prefer staying in order.
Well, I can't do that right now, not right.
Okay. Ms. McKenna.
Okay, Iowa McKenna, 15202 Eastbury Road, Albion. I'd like to read some statements that were kind of prompted by discussion of property values and whether there is indeed any consideration for property values when we're talking about wind turbines. And start out with, these are all things that different people from this community have read or have written. Chastity Salvatore, Berry resident, purchased home in June of 2018. I just learned about this project this year, and I am very worried about my property value going down, especially because we just bought our home in June. When I asked, did you know about the project before you purchased your home? No, I did not. And I grew up here and have family here, and none of them knew either. So much for our getting the word out there for these people. From Micah Burgett, Berry resident, purchased home in August of 2017. Berry Town Board members, my name is Micah Burgett. My wife and I moved to Culver Road from Erie County in August of 2017. My wife is a teacher in the Albion School District, and we wanted to live and serve in the community where she works. We loved the area and the house we bought in Barry, the house where we welcomed our first child in March of 2018. It wasn't until the Albion Strawberry Festival in 2018, where we met several representatives of Clear Skies Above Barry, that we learned about the possibility of wind turbines in the area. Upon moving in, we made several trips to the town hall to register our dog, to sign up for my veterans' property tax exemptions, and to vote. We were never told about the turbines, never asked about the turbines, and I don't even recall seeing any flyers informing us on the turbines. It should be noticed that we did receive a flyer in the mail from Apex discussing how wonderful wind power was, but it didn't say anything about them being built in the area. Upon moving to Barry, there was never any town represented there was a possibility of wind turbines. It was brought to my attention that at a recent town board meeting, Mr. Pogue said everyone moving to Barry knows of the Apex project and are fine with it. My question to you is exactly how should we have known? If we had known that there was a possibility that the tallest wind turbines on land in America would be 900 feet from our property line, if we had known that there would be 5.5 mile radius of our home, I assure you that we would not have been fine with it, and we would not have moved here. I look forward to receiving an answer to the question I posed to you. Sincerely, Micah Burgett.
2 words, due diligence.
Sabrina DeCarlos and Dick DeCarlos said, the windmills coming to Barry had a large impact on our decision to move from Barry. You value and accept for truth peer-reviewed studies. However, you do not accept recommendations from the World Health Organization or have no respect for 2 local realtors who have been trusted by many people to help make one of their most important decisions in their life for more than 20 years each in this community. These statements are not peer-reviewed from someplace that is not buried. These are actual people who you, as a town board, are supposed to represent and respect and protect.
Thank you. Dr. McKenna?
Dr. George McKenna, Eastbury Road, Albion. We were out of town when Apex had their open house a couple Thursdays ago, and I didn't attend. But I heard through the grapevine that the height they're considering now is increased to 650 or 680 feet. So I'm assuming, no, I'm not assuming, because you know what assuming is. I'm wondering then, proposing that they don't have the wind at the under the 500 that they're supposed to be at, that there may not be enough wind in this area, which is the same conclusion, I guess, that they came up with in 2010 when the other wind company was here. So if they need to go to the 650 or 680 foot height, I'm wondering why they're still considering us when our zoning is at 500. And I don't understand that as a business. I mean, it's like, okay, the zoning's there, we gotta be up here in order for it to be there. It isn't gonna work out. 2 years ago when they put up the Met Tower, I was informed and said, don't worry about it, George, we don't even know if there's enough wind yet. Okay? We still don't because it's proprietary, but again, we can probably propose or wonder that there probably isn't enough wind. So I don't know why we're still having the Met Towers up, why we're still dealing with this, that, you know, they're coming. So you start to wonder, okay, is it just gonna be, New York State is just gonna say, we don't care about what you guys do or propose or anything, just, you guys are a bunch of peons and a bunch of country bumpkins in Western New York, and we're New York City and New York, and we don't care. So we're gonna force whatever down your throat. I don't like that. I think that we put a lot of time, Kirk and the planning board, I'm not gonna take any, because I wasn't there for the whole thing, the last couple of years, but they put a lot of time into that, and it's pretty much saying, forget, you know, who cares? You guys put all the time you want into this stuff, it doesn't matter. So, The other thing, they may be saying, well, no, we're planning on the town board, maybe they can change their zoning or do something different. Fine. If you guys are thinking about changing the zoning, think about the residents of Berry, think about the health concerns. Have you looked into the World Health Organization? We didn't ask you to change it, just asked you to see what the setbacks would be for the recommendation of 38 decibels. And we were told we were gonna do that. So, I don't know if you've talked to your experts or not, but we're still waiting for that answer. I don't like getting stuff down our throats, but, you know, we are only a little peon town. So what are we gonna do?
Thank you. Mr. Alex Knack, I presume Mr. Tilton is going to speak on your behalf, correct? Yes. As per your letter that you sent me?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Tilton, welcome back again.
Thank you.
Out of curiosity, what's your residence?
My residence is the town of Hamburg. I'm a hired speaker on behalf of Citizens for a Better Berry.
You're a hired speaker.
That is correct.
Okay. And for what group again?
For Citizens for a Better Berry. The canvassing being done by Citizens for a Better Berry was recently attacked as being not done properly, and there is a rebuttal for that I'd like to deliver first. The canvassing of the town of Berry for opinions on the industrial wind turbine project is done road by road and house by house. Exceptions are made in the case of town officials and leaseholders. Town officials should stay unbiased per law, and leaseholders have a known financial interest in the outcome of the decision. Additionally, leaseholders have already made their feelings known to Secretary Bruggs. The present canvassing conducted by Citizens for a Better Berry wants all persons that are affected by this issue to be heard, not just those who own the land the turbines will be built on. All residents of Berry will be affected by the presence of the wind turbines and have a right to make their feelings known. A survey was conducted by the firm of Labella Associates. However, the names and addresses of those who were surveyed was not made public, and therefore we have no way of knowing if the survey sample was reasonable or if it was biased by the unreasonable inclusion of those with a vested financial interest in the project being approved. If the figures they cite, 46 in favor and 36% opposed, cannot be backed up by telling us who these figures came from, then they cannot be trusted. If the survey was conducted honestly, they would have no reason to conceal who they talked to. Indeed, if the survey was legitimate, they would be bragging about it, how comprehensive it was, and inviting anyone and everyone to come and inspect the results. The canvassing by Citizens for a Better Berry includes both landowners and non-landowners, excluding only those who can clearly be shown to have a personal financial interest in the outcome. This is because all of Berry deserves a voice in what will affect all of Berry. As of March 1st, 2019, the results of the street-by-street, door-by-door canvassing by Citizens for a Better Berry have yielded the following results. 150 do not want turbines. 14 do want turbines. 13 respondents were uncertain. 16 respondents had no comment, and 21 of the persons we attempted to contact had moved away from Berry. Contrast these figures against the postcards that were recently sent in to Secretary Bruggs. Of the 44 postcards sent in, at least 30 of them were from leaseholders or family members of leaseholders. This canvassing will continue until every affected citizen of Berry who can be contacted has been contacted. If you are not a leaseholder and you wish to assist in this project, please contact Alexander Naka at 536-4839. Now, on the subject of the pilot program. The essence of a pilot program is that it is only appropriate when the business in question can demonstrate that they will create new permanent jobs in a community. Without that assurance, there can be no justification for giving a business a tax break or tax exemption of any kind. And this is simply not the case with industrial wind turbines. Once the initial construction is complete, the machines are almost entirely autonomous, and there is absolutely no reason to believe that a single new permanent job will ever be created within the town of Berry. On the surface, the proposed pilot program will pay out $1.5 million annually, but do not be deceived into thinking that this means that you will see an additional $1.5 million in the budget of the town of Berry. The county, the schools, the fire company will each take a large percentage of the proceeds before the town of Berry, the place where the turbines are actually being built, will see anything. And in the end, the town of Berry will only receive a small percentage of these funds, and that isn't right. But there is another option. If the town of Berry rejects the pilot program and instead taxes the turbines at their full value, then those revenues will go to the town. If the town takes in tax revenue from the turbines, then logically, less tax revenue will have to come from the people. Your taxes would, or at least should, go down. Common sense and logic dictate that if being taxed were cheaper, then Heritage Wind would not have bothered to propose a pilot program in the first place. They would have simply said tax us. Their objective is to minimize their costs, and business is business. That means cutting you out of as much of your share of the profits as they can. They're here to make money. They're not here to do you any favors. The capital value of the wind turbine project in Cohocton is listed at $133 million. But those turbines are only half as powerful as the turbines proposed for the town of Barre. More powerful turbines are worth more money. Taxing them would then result in more money for you. It's difficult to say exactly how much because they can't tell us exactly how much those turbines are worth. We've tried. They don't have a number to give. But this is only if you reject the pilot program and tax the wind turbines at their full value. But beyond insisting on taxes rather than a pilot program, there are other things that must be done to ensure the best outcome. I'll move on quickly. Is that my timer? No, it's your phone.
But you
I'm sorry.
have about 30 seconds.
30 seconds left. 5 crucial elements real quickly for a wind ordinance, which would be viable under Article 10. Property value guarantees. You can't let them move in and set up turbines if it's going to harm the most important financial investment that any of you have, your homes. Property line setbacks. From the property line, sorry. Real quickly, noise line limits also from the property line. Environmental tests must be conducted by an objective third party not hired or selected by the turbine company, and decommissioning costs. If recycling these turbines is going to pay for the cost of tearing them down, let Heritage Wind assume that risk, not the town of Barre. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Naka.
I'll give my time to my husband. One moment though, I guess, not this past meeting, but the meeting before, I was misquoted and I hadn't had a chance to read the notes through. I said that the siting board would take into consideration anything people have to say. And it was wrote up that I said they wouldn't. So I'd like that taken and repaired. So
In what month?
You know what, I didn't bring it with me, I apologize, but I'll.
That would have been
make it aware.
January's meeting?
I'm not sure if it was not this past one, I think it was the one before that. I'll have to look and see, but I tried to make that very clear that everybody does have a voice and everybody, they want to hear it.
Don't have you speaking in minutes in January.
Look, okay, it's in one of them, maybe it's the one before that, whatever one I spoke.
Take
I'll
it.
try with that one. Thank you. Can my husband speak for a moment?
For a moment.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alex.
The last meeting I am concerned about because Mr. Gaylord made some remarks at Carrie Richardson, Clear Skies, and he stated that, I have one thing to say, you should get your facts straight. Some information that came out on her. She has a charge against the town, the Attorney General. And I felt that that's inappropriate because she's trying to discredit her. And number one, and number two, disclosure lists are the full responsibility of Apex. And you had some concerns about you being in there in 217 as supervisor.
Well, I just said that they had misstated that because I wasn't the supervisor in
Yeah, but it's in the
2017.
disclosure list, though. Okay, that's fine.
But just an error that they had, yes.
Yeah, and everything else is responsibility of Apex. They make the disclosure list, they post it in the paper. And I think it's kind of serious because she's a head of an organization, Clear Skies above Barre, and she has a charge against the town, some of the officials. And it doesn't sit right like that. Yeah. So anybody can get that disclosure list if they want and check those figures out.
Okay.
The last count I took, there's 8 board members, have 75 leases, land leases with Apex. I don't think that's almost to the point where you give Carrie an apology for that, because he's discrediting her. She's the head of an organization. And I don't think that's proper.
Thank you, sir. Mr. William-Naka,
Not here.
okay? Ms. Carrie Richardson.
All right, I'm gonna talk fast because I got a lot tonight. So I was wondering if you had any answers to last month's meeting.
Go ahead.
I was also wondering if you received a letter from EDR about the visual impact study?
Yes, ma'am.
Why was that not on the agenda and brought to the public's knowledge?
Because it was addressed to myself, the historian, and to the co-chairs of the planning board.
So
Just the four of us at this
For
time.
those of you who are not aware, the Apex is facilitating a visual impact study of how the 650 to 680 feet turbines are going to impact the visual viewshed of our community and those surrounding communities. A letter was sent out to those on the party list, including our town representatives, and asking them to go through and identify any areas of visual significance or visual importance within a 10-mile radius of our community. I personally believe that that's something that every single resident, businesses, owners, any resident who resides here who enjoys this view should have the opportunity to view and share that information. So that's something, and you do have the opportunity, if you'd like to, you can go to the town and let them know. If you'd like to let me know, I'm compiling a list, you're welcome to share it with me. Or I know that Apex does have an opportunity in their office that you can share it there. But it's frustrating when, as town representatives, you don't even share with the town that if somebody may be interested in sharing their insight on that, there's not even an opportunity to do so.
Did you take a look exactly what the specifications were? It is not respectful to the residents. It was to businesses, to public parks, to landmarks, etc. And looking at their criteria, as far as I can see, there was one item that they overlooked, and that's our town park. Other than that, under their guidelines, that's it.
I'm sorry, but as a single individual, to say that you know for sure that those are all of the areas
Based on
within
their
a
guidelines,
10-mile
Ms.
radius.
Richardson, carry on, please.
So I just felt that's something that should have been on the agenda
I'm
and
glad you felt
shared
that
with
way.
the
Well, as a
community.
business, though, we didn't get informed.
You don't know anything.
Businesses weren't on the list, and that's a problem that I have. I believe that they should be.
We just said-
Go ahead.
When did the town board know that the developer was changing their proposal of heights from 591 feet to 650 to 680 feet?
Just prior to when they made a public downtown.
By just prior a week?
You want a specific date? I can't give you one.
Okay.
Continue.
Well, I will share that I'm recollecting after I found out that the turbines were going to be higher, I looked at our open house on January 12th. Supervisor Pogue was in attendance because he opened the doors for us and opened the building, and he was telling residents that the number was wrong. And I was like, that's nothing that I had heard, but he also didn't share that the height was inaccurate as well. Now that could have I'm not sure where that came from. But in addition to that, on February 19th, our supervisor was in New York City with Labella, Knopf, and Shaw attending the New York State Association of Towns meeting, which I truly believe is a wonderful networking opportunity and a good meeting. And they were sharing about the Article 10 process. At that presentation, our supervisor informed the residents there, again on February 19th, that the developer in a meeting 2 months prior, he learned that the height changed from 591 feet to the 680 feet. And he shared that with individuals at this meeting who weren't residents of Barre, who weren't going to be impacted, but neglected to share that with the community members at any of the town board meetings that we've had, which is why I was specifically asking when you knew, because if you had just said when you knew, I would have left that part out. And I find that very frustrating because instead of sharing with the people who are actually going to be directly impacted, that would have been really good information to know. In addressing a question that my dad brought up, Looking into setbacks, I did contact Kathy Spencer directly from Labella, and she said that the town did not come to her asking about setback distance based on the WHO standards. That was not addressed, and that Sonia said that wasn't necessary. I have more, but I guess I'll save it for now.
Thank you. Mr. Yasmin?
I'll pass.
Mr. Mathis?
Yes, last night Apex had an informational meeting with an expert, and a lot of the questions here in the last few minutes and accusations and comments could have been answered down there. And they did not show up. That's all.
And I must admit that at that meeting, as well as other meetings that I've been at, and when I first started getting very involved with this, I tried attending everybody's meetings, whether it was Know Your Facts USA or Clear Skies Above Berry or Apex's / Heritage. I was really surprised that nobody was there from the group that is speaking against, where they could have asked questions at that time. You want to learn, somebody should be there to ask the questions and find out what they have to say. So in that respect, I wish some people had shown up. John was there, but you didn't come on inside to ask some questions.
Pony show, Sean.
Okay, that's your belief, so, okay. Mr. Piscatelli?
He's not here.
Mr. Shoemaker?
They're not gonna say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, give it to Karen.
All right.
Miss,
Oh, he said he
5
could.
minutes, sir, I know I can do
go ahead.
Thank you. So to address that, we did have we actually had 3 people present who did ask questions. We have a membership of over 100 people, and I'm sorry that you don't know all of our members, but they were present on
Just like the
Tuesday.
fact I asked you for a list of your members.
Because they want to remain anonymous so that they aren't
Oh,
negatively
for everybody on
impacted.
our-
There's a difference between a government organization and a not-for-profit,
Yeah.
okay? In addition to that,
That's right.
so we were there, we also were at the public forum where we submitted a lot of questions.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we have not received, that's not going to be back until March 28th. So yes, we do attend these meetings, and yes, we do get asked questions. Unfortunately, we are not satisfied with the answers, the sources. There's so much, so many aspects there that we dig deeper and we don't find it to be accurate or appropriate. For example, another thing that I wanted to share, this picture was used by Heritage Wind to represent for their community forum, which we attended on February 28th. This was the first picture that they presented that had buildings in it, and I was very excited about that. I thought that was great. So I went and I asked Jessica where this picture was taken, and she wasn't sure because she had purchased it as a stock photo because there weren't photos that were representative of our community that she felt could be used. I looked it up. This picture was taken in 2015 in the Netherlands. The hub height of the turbines in this picture, so that you are aware, is 45 meters. The proposed hub height of the turbines that are currently being proposed, the smaller 650-foot turbine that they are considering, the hub height is 125 meters. That's 410 feet. In this picture, the hub height is 147 feet. That's 2.8 times the height. So the hub height, I'm not talking tip height, I'm talking hub height on these pictures. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And that's why we question. That's why we don't just believe everything that is shared. In addition to that, I wanted to make you aware, the Nordex 149 that they are proposing in the brief, because we have done research, we have looked into these specific turbines, it says that these turbines will only last 20 years, not the original 30 years that they have been saying. 20 years, with a possibility of 25 years, depending on the specific location and siting. So that's something that that takes into it's a big deal when you're looking at pilots, when you're looking at negotiations and determining how much funding the town would be getting for this proposed project. Yes, we do look into it, we do fact check, and we're not just going to go with what the developer says as fact. In addition to that, I would just make the request, the speaker list kind of remains the same. If we could just randomize it, just so that it would make it so it changes up where people go, I think that that would be effective for the future. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Garrett Van Lieshout.
Sean, you didn't, he never called in to speak, but I will speak.
I'd asked him if he was gonna come back again. We must have scared him and the
Oh.
other young lady away.
Somebody's gotta run that farm, if you haven't noticed.
I know, you guys are semi-retired now.
But my name is
No,
on the
not
list.
even close. I wish I could.
My name was on the list.
You're
and
next, yes, ma'am.
I'm Cindy Van Lieshout in 4759 Oak Orchard Road, and I just wanted to say that, invite everyone. We have a Berry Betterment Committee, and our next event is a square dance on June 22nd, working on a floor with the Boseys, and Eric Watson is going to design it for us, and I just wanted to invite everyone to attend. And if you'd like to attend our meetings, our next meeting is March 28th at 7 p.m. at my house, and you're welcome to come.
Where would the square dance be located?
At the park, June 22nd, March 28th,
What time?
7 p.m.
And what time is the spread?
To be announced. Yeah, we're really in the very beginning stages of that.
Very good. Okay, then that leaves Mr. Messler.
Question for you, and you can ask Apex, have any geological studies been done in Berry to see if the geology would support these turbines? Because I talked to people in Albany, they say they're required and they've received nothing.
I believe that's in the PSS, if I remember.
Nothing's
right.
been done. Nothing's been submitted. Okay, and then I'd like to read something if I could. It's been 3.5 years now since Apex Clean Energy held its first and only public information meeting at the Barton Fire Hall on April 2015. Since that day, there has been no divulging of Lighthouse Wind project details to the public. What residents have learned, however, is that Apex employs slick and deceptive practices. Apex's own January 2015 public involvement plan on the Department of Public Service website called for multiple information sessions on such topics as the grid, turbine technology, and more. Apex's elaborate descriptions included local workshops on turbine technology, a review of specifications of models proposed for this project currently, and interactive sessions on what the community will see during and after the construction. To be clear, these or any other information sessions were never offered or publicized at any time. Apex's own preliminary scoping statement filed in November 2016 was deemed deficient by the DPS, but never resubmitted for corrections or omissions. Responses to public questions about the PSS were glossed over or completely ignored. Apex held on to leaseholders' leases, keeping them under wraps sometimes for many months before they were publicly registered at Niagara or Orleans County offices. Apex had to be publicly pressured pressured for much of 2015 to actually sign New York State's Wind Code of Conduct. In March 2016, municipal employees with Apex contracts had not been publicly disclosed as per the state requirement. Apex sued the town of Somerset Planning Board over Met Tower placement, forcing the town to spend funds for legal defense. An Apex paid lobbyist, Bo Schuff, presented false information about Save Ontario Shores and town residents in a presentation to the Buffalo Sierra Club. 3 individuals present from Somerset subsequently filed affidavits to the Attorney General regarding these false statements made. Another lobbyist and former Apex executive, Dave Belo, was portrayed as a military spokesman who endorsed the coexistence of industrial wind turbines and the Niagara Falls Air Reserve Station. Belo had actually worked for a DC lobbying firm, Cassidy and Associates. In a surprise move, Apex forced the town of Somerset to relocate a public hearing because they had imported union members from Buffalo to occupy the limited seats for residents. Apex's Taylor Quarles was a no-show to present info on Met Tower inspection data to Somerset Planning Board as required by special use permit. At an Orleans County sportsman event, when directly questioned, Apex biologist Dave Phillips denied a May 2015 letter addressed to him from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service about the service's recommended industrial wind setbacks from Lake Ontario shore. Apex has used questionable methods to get reluctant landowners to sign leases. And I could get you a statement from a lady who felt pressure and intimidated, and she thought she was going to be assaulted in East Barry, where an Apex official walked into her house, never knocked on the door, walked into her house and attempted to intimidate her. She was in the bathroom at the time. She walked out of the bathroom and this man was in her house. Apex CEO Goodwin has ignored letters from Somerset Supervisor Engert, Yates Supervisor Simon DeMute. Apex spokesman Williamson lied to Yatestown Supervisor Simon that Apex was denied access to Barker Linneville venues for upcoming October 2nd forum. His rationale for originally having the event scheduled in the town of Ridgeway. Apex's forum was hastily relocated to Lindenville. Apex has failed to divulge critical project details to the general public for years. It is only now scheduled for October 2nd, that's passed, that Apex is having a second public information meeting to unveil Lighthouse Wind Project. But wait, according to the article in Union Sun Journal, an Apex spokeswoman declined to say whether specific details of the proposed project, such as tower height, locations, would be presented at the forum. Is it any wonder then that this developer has no credibility? What will we hear and see? Can it be believed? We have seen and heard enough misinformation, obfuscation from Apex Clean Energy and want no part of its industrial wind turbines in Somerset and Yates. That's the truth. Christine Bronson, signed Christine Bronson of Barker. She's a member of Somerset Town Council. Now, you mentioned Apex's little meetings that they have in their forums. And I said it was a dog and pony show, and that's exactly what it is. You walk in there, nobody was given any advance warning. You walk in there, they don't take questions from the floor. You fill out a 5x7 card and they pick what cards they want to answer. Didn't answer a single question from me. And the first one was what happened to the Gallo Wind Project. If any of you want to speak on this or talk about the Gallo Wind Project, we can do it. Because I'm well versed on it. And this is common, it's what we've dealt with as a town with Apex. Like I said, where are the geological studies? I did talk to Albany, by the way, and they agreed with me after I told them what these meetings were like, and they are going to send somebody. They had no idea that that kind of dog and pony show was going on. They presented no evidence other than verbal evidence, no studies, anything for the public that they could walk out of there with and check the facts. Nothing was given. The gentleman from Albany, Mr. Den, tells me they would never conduct a meeting like that. He says, we always welcome questions from the floor because as a meeting or a presentation progresses, naturally people are going to develop questions. Apex doesn't allow that. They didn't allow it in Somerset also. Just another example of the games they play. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Mr. Metzler.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I am not on your list, but I would like to ask, when are we going to have 98 fixed?
Route 98?
Yeah.
It's scheduled for this summer. We have received the funding from Albany. They are going to redo Route 98 from Pusey Road north all the way up to the flashing light at 31A. That's all going to be redone. And that's should take about a 1 week span at the most.
That's what they quoted, or said, yeah.
Did they haven't given an exact date, but it's sometime this summer they're going to be doing that. Okay? Okay, thank you, everybody. Do we hear a resolution or?
A motion.
A motion?
Well, I just had one that, most of you don't know, Tom Mazurbo passed away. He was responsible for, on the committees to get the water in the town of Barry 98 years ago. That's it. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Do you second it? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Who seconded?
Mr. McCabe seconded. Larry makes a motion.
Got it.
Okay.